here's something to keep in mind. Now, when you do this reflecting back, now you may be able to identify some key people who were responsible for a lot of the negativity from any time between childhood to now. But it's important for you to realize several things. One is, if you're talking about something in the past from years ago, if it was 10, 15 years ago, your childhood, 20 years ago, you're talking about somebody that was 10, 15, 20 years younger. You know, and in many cases, people only use the tools, techniques that they were aware of. They didn't understand what they were doing when they were doing when they were subjecting you to all this negativity. So in that case, there's no point in holding a resentment to them, having resentment for them. And another reason for releasing resentment, you know, is having resentment. No matter whether you can justify it or not, maybe a person still has to come around. Maybe a person or people still haven't matured and don't treat you any differently. You know, there's no point in having resentment for them. Oftentimes, if they knew better, they would do better. But more importantly to you is holding resentment for someone creates a void in you, and it affects how you move forward in life. It keeps you back. And you have to be intentional about eliminating resentment, because you can hold resentment at a conscious level and at a subconscious level. At a conscious level, you make a willing decision to hold against them, to have feel a certain way toward them because of maybe them subjecting you to negativity or doing you wrong or whatever. But that's not as bad, because you can also make a willful decision to stop doing that when you realize that it's hurting you. But at the subconscious level, you can also hold resentment and it affect you, because if you have that void and that anger that you haven't let go, and then you mess around and not only just dealing with that person, but you deal with someone else that has traits and characteristics that remind you of that person, whether you realize it or not. If there are similarities, then it may remind you of that person you don't realize it. And then you turn around and act a certain way toward that person because your subconscious causes you to do that. And you don't know why. Of course that person don't know why he acting funny. And so you have a roadblock in developing relationships, or you have a snag in that relationship. It might be a relationship that you already are involved in, but you have never reflected back and identified this negative background, and all of a sudden you develop resentment. Well, that's why you can't allow yourself to hold resentment, because somebody that you're in a relationship with can remind you of those people who you may resent, and then all of a sudden it's going to create a problem in your relationship. So, you know, when looking back to evaluate your life, be sure not to have any feelings of resentment toward anybody from things in the past. You know, I think one of the problems that we need to, one of the things that we need to do today is stop letting our past be a roadblock. We should use it as a tool to move forward, and not view it as something that is a crutch or an excuse for continuing to do things in a way that's not in our best interest. You can't get caught up in allowing yourself to believe that you are still limited by things that occurred back then in a way that keeps you from being able to excel, to achieve, and to overcome. When you dwell too much on the negative fallout from the past, then you wind up wasting a lot of time that you could be using to focus on what things you could be doing to rise above the negative residual effects from the past. You see what I mean?